Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilmember White. Here. Councilmember Cook.
Here.
Councilmember Fairley.
Here.
Councilmember Osborne. Here. Councilmember Thomas.
Here.
Thank you. For a public hearing, the 2024 comprehensive plan.
Okay, give me 1 second. I'll get Eric up on the projector. Eric, you are now on the screen and council can see you.
No, are you reopening the,
Hang on, Eric, can you start over?
Oh, sure.
Wait, I'm sorry, the mayor still has to open the public hearing.
I'm going to open the public hearing at 7:05. Go ahead, Eric.
Thank you, Mayor. The purpose of my presence this evening in the public hearing is to read into the record the staff report, along with the findings and conclusions, and finally the recommendation for the council to consider for adoption, the 2024 Comprehensive Plan Periodic Update. I know this will be a little tedious reading from the staff report for the sake of the record, but I look forward to any discussion and questions you may have after the result of reading through the staff report. If there is any discussion that I can help with, by all means, let me know, and I will go ahead and begin now. So, first talking about issues and analysis. At issue with tonight's public hearing before the Algona City Council is a hearing to consider City Consultant's proposed draft 2024 Periodic Update Comprehensive Plan and to determine whether to adopt and or revise the plan for amendment. This effort to update the plan is mainly driven by city-initiated actions to meet the consistency requirements of the State Growth Management Act, also known as the GMA. Puget Sound Regional Council's Vision 2050 planning policies for the central Puget Sound area, and the King County countywide planning policies. City staff is prepared and, where needed, revised all the necessary sections for the periodic update to the plan. Now presented to the council is this proposed full draft plan. Specifically, there are chapter elements included in this plan that address State Growth Management Act GMA requirements, as well as present optional elements prepared to serve the benefits of the community and with thoughtful and inclusive planning. These elements include land use, housing, transportation, capital facilities and utilities, parks, and natural environment. Since the last periodic update was adopted by the city in 2015, there have been a great number of new state and federal legislative actions, U.S. Supreme Court cases, administrative guidelines, and official interpretations issued, all of which has played a role of varied measures to make the 2024 periodic update the largest and most complex plan amendment since the GMA was first adopted back in 1992. Some of these actions have resulted in the establishment of clear regulatory guidelines that must be put into place immediately to achieve consistency with GMA, while others come with a later deadline for compliance. Yet there are those measures that have led to uncertainty and vagueness as to their needful actions going forward. For such principles, the state and county continue to work toward finding the right guidance to place forward to all municipalities. This draft before you represents over 2 years of staff, consultant, and planning commission work to determine the proper language and policies that will provide the best level of consistency with the GMA while bringing sound planning principles to residents, businesses, and visitors to Algona. It should be noted that the principles and references of the residents 9 years ago, as reflected in the previously adopted comp plan, have been preserved. There are no significant changes to what priorities and values that were shared back then. As to the importance the small town character and tight community that Algona has always represented. Accordingly, the urban growth area is not proposed for change nor any other present zoning districts, and their underlying principal purposes are affected. What is new are goals and policies pertaining to the accommodation of more affordable housing and housing types, capital facilities planning and development coordination, and a greater consideration of environmental protections and climate impacts, among others. Move on to the policy section. The Algona Municipal Code, AMC Section 14.08.030, Periodic Assessment of Comprehensive Plan Amendment Needs, states, A, the city shall monitor the comprehensive plan and regulatory ordinances that implement the plan and may initiate amendments as needed for adoption. This assessment shall be based on, but not limited to, 1, whether growth and development are occurring at a faster or slower rate than envisioned in the plan, or 2, whether the capacity to provide adequate services is diminished or increased, or 3, the availability of land to meet demand, or 4, assumptions upon which the plan is based are found to be invalid, or 5, the effect of the plan on land values and housing is contrary to the plan goals, or 6, a determination that sufficient change or lack of change in circumstances dictate the need for a recommended amendment, or lastly, 7, a determination that a question of consistency exists between the comprehensive plan and Chapter 3670A RCW, the state's countywide planning of the state, also the countywide planning policies for King County, and Puget Sound's Vision 2020 Growth Management Transportation Strategy for the Central Puget Sound region, presented by the Puget Sound Regional Council. B, an assessment of the comprehensive plan shall occur at least every 5 years from the date of initial adoption of the plan. I should just jump in there real quick. State legislation, as of last year's, recently moved the update requirements to every 10 years, so that should be a code amendment that we will follow up following adoption of the plan. Anyways, I move to the last statement that's found within this Algona Municipal Code, Section 1408. And it says, further, AMC Section 1408.080, adoption required by the City Council states, the comprehensive plan or an amendment to the comprehensive plan requires adoption by the City Council by ordinance. The City Council shall not adopt a comprehensive plan or amendment without first submitting the proposal to the Planning Commission and considering any recommendations. Herewith is the proposal. Consultants and city staff wish to seek approval to effect all necessary changes to the comprehensive plan to reflect newly adopted local, state, and federal legislation, U.S. Supreme Court actions, local and state administrative guidelines, and official interpretations and definitions. I'll move on to the background. After a review of all published legislation, legal decisions, public agency guidance, and other enacted material, the City of Algona planning consultants and city administrator recommend approval to amend the present comprehensive plan in order to adopt the city's 2024 periodic update of the comprehensive plan. After much review and consideration, the city's planning commission forwarded their recommendation on the proposed plan draft to the City Council. Following this public hearing and review, the City Council will be asked to decide of whether to adopt the draft plan as presented and take final action on the proposed periodic update to the plan. In this staff report, I've provided 7 findings and conclusions, and I think for the sake of brevity and sake of time, I will not recite all 7 into the vocal record, or I should say the recording, but rather identify the fact there are 7 findings and conclusions included in the staff report. Moving on to recommended action. Please accept the consultant and staff recommendations to approve the proposed full draft for consideration as the city's 2024 periodic update of its comprehensive plan. State again, it has gone through planning commission review and approval, and recommendation is forwarded to yourselves. And lastly, I've cited the attachments that are included as part of the staff report, which include not only the enacted and adopted housing action plan, but all the presented chapters, also known as elements, present. It including all required GMA elements such as land use, housing, transportation, capital facilities, and utilities. In addition, the optional draft part Algona chapter. And finally, recognizing the process the city went through to follow the public notice and public hearing procedures for affidavit of publication, publishing of the public notice, and posting of the public notice and public hearing of this proposal presented before you this evening. And that concludes my staff report. Thank you.
Is there any questions? Any comments? If there's no questions or comments, I'll close the public hearing at 7:09. Thank you, Eric.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Is there any question? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second. I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Did we all get a chance to look over the consent items? Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Review and reports, Mr. White.
Yeah, I wanted to say that I attended the AWC City Action Day, 2 days in Olympia past week, and it was very interesting. I got to meet and shake hands with the new Attorney General, Nick Brown, and there was a lot of interesting things that they discussed, the mayor and I.
Thank you, Mr. White. Mr. Cook.
Nothing for me tonight, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Fairley.
No reports this evening.
Mrs. Osborne.
I have nothing to report.
Thank you. Mr. Thomas.
I really don't have a report, just a comment on the road construction or the site construction of the new transfer station over there. We're keeping some lane closures into the commute traffic, and sometimes that's all the way back down to 15th Avenue. It's just wondering if they can speed it up. I know you got a meeting soon, and maybe they can get off the road a little sooner than three in the afternoon. So, yeah, they shut down until after 4, a couple of days this week. So the traffic is pretty packed up. That's all I have.
I will ask. Thank you, sir. Chief Shrimshire.
Yes. I apologize. I have a written report, and part of it's bragging about our new IT, but I couldn't get the printer and the PD to work. But that being said, first and foremost, Officer Lai has passed all her stuff at the academy. She's going through her last few mock scenes, and she is going to graduate. You all will receive in your mailbox tomorrow a invitation to her graduation, which is March 5th at 10 a.m. at the Criminal Justice Training Commission. She's made it through the academy. She's doing very well, and I can't wait to get her back here. I'm excited. The next thing I want to talk about is our starting March 1st, starting next week, we're going to go back to doing our traffic emphasis. You guys heard me talk about this before, but we receive extra money from the Traffic Safety Commission. We've kind of taken the first 2 months of the year off, and now we're going to start bringing back those emphasis patrols. So you'll see more officers out there focused on traffic. And that's going to start March 1st. I'm not going to announce the times. You'll just see extra officers out there during certain periods of time. The other thing that the next thing I want to talk about is the transition to the new records management system. It's going smooth. It is taking a little bit longer than what we anticipated to get some of that back data in, but we started to pick things up and things are moving through. We should be done fairly shortly. Along with that is the transition to the new IT service. One of the things, Jessica and I met with them a couple of weeks ago. We're probably going to be coming to you in the near future with a budget proposal to move everything to a data center instead of having on-site servers. And they're working on that, and so we'll have something for you in writing to consider shortly. But it's needed. Instead of replacing the old servers that we have, moving everything to a data center, one of the local data centers that are secure and designed for government use. There's several of them within a 15-mile radius. They also took a look at these council chambers, the systems here, and they're preparing a separate proposal. Two Sundays ago, we shut down the system, the computer system. At 10 o'clock at night, we moved the public access channel to this closet. There's some facility stuff that we have to do to get that transition, but a part of that second proposal is our public access channel, updating everything we need to be able to run that and be able to stream our music, as well as the sound system in here. Just their initial look at the sound system in here, it's dated. It was probably dated the day it was put in. Those are my words, not theirs, but that's the gist of the conversation. So, we explained the issues that we've had for years with the sound system here, and they're going to be coming at us with a proposal. It'll be up to you guys if you want to spend the money this year or wait till next year, but we have started that process, and that's going to incorporate this chambers and being able to stream it, as well as the public access channel. The last thing I want to talk about is March 13th, we'll be having our in-service day, our first in-service day. We're going to go over our less lethal certifications, like the beanbag gun, the pepper ball, the taser. We're going to go over DT, and we're going to go over use of force policies and those kind of things. So that'll be at the PD. It'll be an all-hands thing, March 13th. Also, I've requested from the FOP to start negotiations, so I'm also going to be starting those negotiations 1st of March with the FOP. Other than that, I'll stand for any questions.
I have a question.
Sure.
Saturday night, we had a little road closure of Main Street, or First Avenue and Algona Boulevard. Can you help me out, try to figure out what was going on?
On Saturday night, about what time?
They had blocked off totally.
They had what?
They had the road blocked off totally, Algona Boulevard, turn around, go like 3rd South, just get around.
Okay. Nothing was reported to the chief about. So we did have a DUI investigation from a collision. Let me look and see if that was on Algona Boulevard and First. But nothing was reported to the chief where we had a major road closure. But I can look into it and get back to you.
No worries, thank you.
Jessica, City Administrative report, please.
Sure, I just have a couple updates tonight. The first is the Ellington overlay. We now have a date of the first week of April. So we should have the overlay, all of the electrical work for the lights and all of that all should be done the first week of April. They were able to coordinate with the railroad, so the Algona portion of the railroad should also be completed at that time. Wetland Preserve, Phase 3 is out for bid right now. We're gonna have that open until March 20th. I've had quite a few inquiries already. We have a pre-bid site walk early next week for interested bidders. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have tonight. Any questions for me?
And the only question I have is in coordinating with Pacific as well.
I think they've tried to, but something's happening on their side where it's not working out.
So we'll have it done at least up to our side of the tracks.
Yep.
My understanding is that they were gonna close Ellington down over a weekend, so they could because they didn't wanna do any repairs on that railroad until they could do both sides at once.
I haven't heard any updates on that.
It should be coming up.
The schedule, the schedule I was presented shows the railroad portion is Friday, so maybe it's a Friday, Saturday thing. I'm not sure.
I'll find out, because they didn't want to do just one half. They wanted to do the whole thing. The last conversation I had was that they were gonna do the whole thing, and they were gonna go 25 feet out each attended since the 18th of February. South County Area Transit Board. On that one, we discussed Commercial Aviation Work Group update. And that's the group of people that are trying to decide where to put a second airport. That group's been together for 2 years. They have 4 members, they need 6. They're having a hard time filling the last 2 places, and until they get the member in here, they're not gonna be able to move forward. They hope to have that this year, so it's gonna be a long time before we get a 3rd airport. Other reports and communications were Metro Transit. I heard that report when they gave the CBU that same day. Future Sound Regional Council, Washington State Department of Transportation, RTC, and other regional committees. And I had a strong mayors meeting the same day. And for those who don't know, there's 2 different kinds of government in the state of Washington. There's strong mayors and there's council mayors. We happen to be a strong mayor. Council mayor is where a council person is elected by council to be mayor, but a city manager runs the city, to where everything that happens in the city I'm responsible for. And that's the difference between the 2. Anyway, what we ended up talking about mainly was some of the legislation, and was that you that told me today that 1340 failed?
Are you talking about the
HR 13.
camping?
Yeah.
Yes.
There was an ordinance, and I don't know if you guys are aware, but HR 1340 was an ordinance designed that if we didn't provide somebody camping for the night, that they could sue the city. And Oregon passed that in the first month afterwards. Portland got sued for $175,000. And it actually made it past committee. So I got a little scary. And then there was a house in the I don't remember which one it was. But anyway, we talked about legislation.
How badly did it fail?
Huh?
How badly did it fail?
It's just not moving on. It didn't make it past cutoff, so it didn't come out of the committee. So if you want to get in the weeds, it could come back next year because we're in the first year of a biennium. So it could, just because it's set in a committee doesn't mean it can't be voted out next session.
That was a real hardship on the cities.
Say again?
That was a real hardship on the cities.
Correct. And it also negates the Supreme Court ruling that gave us back the authority to regulate our public spaces.
On the next day, we was down in Lundy's with Dave. Dave went to the first meetings of the day. I had an SCA board meeting. And most of the discussion of that meeting, they hired a new director. We're really excited to have him on board. He's going in someday. And they went to, we did see him, we fell off, and the last gentleman didn't do what we wanted him to do. So for those who don't know what SCA is, it's South Cities Association. I'm on the board. And South City, King County has 39 cities. And Seattle, being the biggest city, is not in our group because this is the way we take the total number of people that live in the cities versus Seattle. We have a lot more population, and it allows us to leverage with King County. I also attended the AWC Action Days. Dave and I went down there. Some of the sessions we attended was talk to your lobbyists, advocacy of the county, exploring city data, housing conservation, transportation fund, public safety. They keep us running down there. Those are hours at a time when you go from one to the other. I'm on the AWC Small Cities Board for the state, and we ended up talking about the new thing for gas tax and the effects of gas tax. You know, the state says that they'll eliminate the gas tax if they go to that pay per mile. And I just don't see that happening. I see them trying to get both. But anyway, that's what most of our discussion was about there. We also heard from National League of Cities talking about what's going on in Washington, D.C. and all the struggles that they're having back there right now. It's really through, I forget it. They're really having a hard time back there. Nobody knows what's going to happen. We met Attorney General Mr. Brown. He's a great speaker. first few weeks in office and the 5 lawsuits he has against Donald Trump at this time and some of the other stuff that he's going to be working on. And then State Auditor Pat McCarthy spoke. I had her speak at the Mayor's Conference that I went to in November and talk about the importance of audits and that kind of stuff. It was good. Last Friday, I met with Planning Commissioner Barry Vasella. We're working to provide a monthly YouTube video. I want to get away from doing the monthly. Like, I'll still throw something in the newsletter, but it's just not enough room in the newsletter to really be able to point out everything that's going on in the city. And I plan to have my first one done in the middle of the month. There'll be 5-minute videos, and each department head is going to be providing me with what they're working on, and that's what I'm going to bring to it. I can't bring any kind of political stuff or anything like that, but I can talk about, the railroad tracks and what we're doing at Cherry Park, and I can put maps up, which I can't put maps up on, when I'm just writing in the back of the newsletter. So I'm real excited about that. Other than that, any questions for me? Let's move on to audience participation. The City Council encourages public participation during meetings of the City Council and welcomes your comments. This time is set aside for you to speak to the City Council on any issue. The Council ordinarily takes non-agenda matters under advisement before taking action. You're invited to comment on action items as they are considered during the meeting. Individual speakers will be limited to 3 minutes each in addressing the City Council. When addressing the Council, please speak clearly, audibly, and state your name and address for the record.
Chris Gomez, 527 Main Street. Apparently a resident from 402 Main Street talked about waste management. About you wanted to take a vacation and you wanted to cancel the service for whatever.
Yeah.
Did you ever find out why you can't do that?
Because it's not in the contract. We didn't put it in the contract.
So if you leave for a month, you have to pay for service.
Can I finish? Thank you, Chris. Since there's a 409 Main Street, I can't remember his first name. Yeah, Brett called me. And we're in the process of renegotiating with Waste Management and adding the MOU so everybody in town has the opportunity to have that cut off.
Okay.
It got away from us, and I never thought about it when we were negotiating the contract. So we're in the process of renegotiating that right now. So that way if somebody leaves town, they don't get stuck for $200 bill for, not using it for 2 months.
Right. The other thing is I've got a little free time in my hands, but I haven't been able to go to certain places. I've been sitting in front of my window watching the traffic go by on Main Street. And in the last 3 weeks, we've had CR England, Market Express, Saya, and a couple other trucks I couldn't get names off the trailers or the vehicles because they were going so fast down Main Street one way or the other. And it seems to be an issue here lately. And then what surprised me is I watched a gas tanker going northbound on Main Street. Why would he even be down this way in the first place? So I know that the police department isn't everywhere at all places, but it seems to be there's a GPS signal says this is a shortcut to go from here to there. And so I don't know what the deal is with that. And it's not like they're driving 25 miles an hour. They're faster than that because when they go by, they're like that. And then lately there's been an increase of speeders going one way or the other. And it's usually in the mornings and in the afternoons. So I was researching a few things. We talked about stop signs. Everybody goes crazy over stop signs. So I was thinking, why don't we just put a couple of traffic circles down Main Street at intersections? And they're only about $20,000 to put in, according to the Seattle Department of Transportation, and that's with the flowers. Unless you want to plumb them with water, and then there's a little more cost to that. But it seems that would slow people down. They would have to slow down to go around traffic circles to go down. It just seems to be, I don't know what it is. People just think that they can drive 45, 50 miles an hour down the street in a 25-mile zone. So it's been kind of crazy lately. And I know that you've talked about bringing the enforcement back, but you can't be everywhere. You know, it just seems to be.
I think what we can do, Chris, is that first 2 weeks, I'll ask him to put an emphasis on Main Street, and then we'll collate the data, and I'll be glad to share it with his body and you, and we kind of see what we're running into on Algona Boulevard. The second thing, the mayor and I talked about, he asked on your behalf, actually, was putting the speed trailer there, and we could totally do that, and I'll make that happen tomorrow. So.
Yeah, it's been down there a few times. People just look at it as they drive by, you know. They must see how fast they can make it.
The difference in this speed trailer is this one records
Data.
data.
Okay.
The other thing did not record. We thought it was recording, and it doesn't. This way we'll have, that's where it is.
And then I've noticed, which is weird, you know, these side-by-sides, I know they're licensed to drive on the street, but I've seen this one over the weekend, the last 3 weekends. It's white and red and what lettering on the side. It goes by so fast, I can't catch it. There's somebody always going from First Avenue north. So I'm not sure what that's all about. And then last
I
weekend,
wonder if that's the one that went running through the wetlands up there.
I don't know, but I don't recall this body ever creating an ATV route. So those may be street legal, but they have to stay on certain routes, and the city has the authority to regulate those routes. So give us a call, and we'll be glad.
that's the problem. Yeah. You know, you have to call non-emergency by the time you go through all that recording and you get to somebody. It's 10 minutes later, 5 minutes later. They could be, you know. And then 2 weeks ago, I noticed dirt bikes going down 4 people. Now I know those are out there. So it just seems to be a lot of weird traffic coming down Main Street lately. And that's
Okay.
yep.
So why does everybody in the city have to go around these things he's talking about just because somebody won't obey the law? So everybody in the whole dang city's got to go around this junk. I'd rather see them get tickets and stuff so they'll quit doing it instead of making the whole city have to put up with it.
Nothing's been passed.
Huh?
Nothing's been passed, but
No, but
we appreciate your opinion.
That's my opinion. He's talking about putting these circles out on Main Street and stuff. All it does is make it hard for everybody to get around. The better way is just for the city to give somebody a ticket or whatever they need. That way the other people can enjoy
You know,
the
there's
city.
kids that ride their bikes up and down Main Street, scooters. They don't stay on the sidewalk. They go out on the street. So if you're doing 45 miles an hour and that kid slips and falls in front of you, you're going to kill him. That's why I want to slow down. If it's an inconvenience for you to slow down and drive around something, then you were speeding, weren't you?
If they get a ticket, then they won't be doing it.
So that's the same thing with people who have DUIs, have been driving, have 5 of them, end up running into somebody and killing them.
I appreciate both of your opinions, and it'll take forever anyway before anything would ever be done about it, as far as getting all the engineering done. And we appreciate the suggestion, and we appreciate the other comments too. Is there anything else, Chris?
No, I have nothing else.
Thank you, sir. That's it. Let's move on to discussion items, number 9. Item A is 2026-2035 Water Resource Inventory Area WRIA 9 Interlocal Agreement.
All right. So you may remember we had a workshop presentation at the last workshop. This is the Green Duwamish and Central Puget Sound Watershed, RIA 9. They're looking to renew the interlocal agreement. So the goal of RIA 9 is salmon population recovery and supporting salmon habitat. This ILA allows Algona to essentially have a seat at the table, have a say in the salmon recovery habitat plan, and yeah, just being involved in the discussions. Is there any questions you may have since the presentation?
I will tell you that I did have a good discussion with, about the establishment of the north part of the 167 ditch as salmon habitat, and he was in agreement that something should be done with that. And so I'm in the process of working with them.
So you won't be able to call it a ditch anymore.
No. Let's call it Mill Creek. Yes, Mr. White.
Is anything that the current administration doing going to affect this?
As far as I know, no. That's a good question, thank you. If there are any questions, I'll move on to item B, ordinance number 1229-25. Updating.
I promise it's not me.
So just a heads up, this is a new ordinance in the packets on Friday. I apologize, we got this over the weekend. You can blame Zach, who's here tonight. I'm just kidding. I'll have Chief go over it though. It is a municipal court related item.
All right, so when we, Zach, doing his due diligence and kind of keeping with our promise to go over the code section by section, staff, we noticed that we never referenced, when we switched over to district court, we never referenced Algona Municipal Court is now King County District Court. It still says Pacific Algona Municipal Court. So, at Zach's advice, we need to make sure that we address that reference. So, Zach, doing his due diligence, prepared the ordinance that's in front of you. This is first touch, but it's pretty straightforward. It's just taking the old references out of city code to Algona Pacific Municipal Court and replacing them with municipal court now means the district court at the regional justice center. Any questions? Did I miss it?
That was pretty quick, Chief.
Yeah.
So we have no new business, we have old business. Item A is 2025 Planning Commission Work Plan.
Okay. I don't
Make a motion to approve the 2025 planning commission's work.
I have a motion and second to approve the 2025 Planning Commission Work Plan. Any questions or comments? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Yes. Ordinances and resolutions. Item A is resolution 1292-25, King County Flood Reduction Grant Agreement.
I make a motion to approve resolution 1292-25, King County Flood Reduction Grant Agreement. I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to approve resolution 1292-25, King County Flood Reduction Grant Agreement. Any questions? Comments? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Yes. Resolution 1294-25, Coalition of Small Police Agencies Interlocal Agreement.
So, this is me again. We have, Zach has reviewed a working draft.
You skipped one.
I did.
Yeah, we're on the.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Chief.
Oh, okay.
No,
You skipped one? All right, I'm ready.
Resolution 1293-25, Department of Ecology Grant Agreement.
I make a motion to approve resolution 1293-25.
Second.
I have a motion to approve resolution 1293-25, Department of Ecology Grant Agreement. Any questions or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Passed. Okay. There we go. Sorry, thank you guys. Resolution 1294-25, Coalition of Small Police Agencies and Local.
All right, so you don't have an agreement in front of you, but Zach has reviewed the original agreement. Oh, you do? Nice. So Miss Jessica's way ahead of me. Zach has reviewed this, provided comments. As I explained during the first touch, last council meeting, all the police chiefs had their city attorney look at this, provide comments. We agreed that one city attorney was going to incorporate all the comments and draft it. And since Issaquah brought this issue up, mysteriously, Issaquah city attorney was elected to put all the new comments into the draft. So at the third and final touch, you'll have a clean, pristine copy incorporating Zach's comments as well as what we come up with at the next coalition meeting.
So this is it for passage
This
tonight?
is the final touch.
So I'm going to ask that we move it to the next council meeting for passage. Does that work for everybody? Just because I want to make sure we have a clean copy in front of me.
So we need a motion to move it back.
I think you could say table it.
Yeah.
Just table.
Yep.
I make a motion, we table resolution 1294-25.
A motion and a second to table resolution 1294-25. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Thank you. So we're gonna move into executive session. Pursuant to RCW 42.30.110.1.I, the city council will now convene an executive session for the purpose of discussing potential litigation with legal counsel. The executive session will last, I would say 20 minutes. 20 minutes, unless extended, and the council may take action when the meeting reconvenes in open session.